Excuse me, good morning. I think this is on. I think we're going. I think the stream is up, but let me double check. Let me double check just 1 second. I think we're good. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Maybe not. Maybe we're not. We on? Yeah, there we are. Okay, cool. Hi, my name is Andrew, and this is the Morning Hash. Good morning. Thank you for joining me for March 26, 2025. It is 5:37 a.m. Central Standard Time, and we're going to jump right into it. Okay, so yesterday, there's been a lot of, there's plenty of news to get to. There always is. But yesterday, I was kind of thinking this while I was going through, there was a poll that recently came out from CNN that asked people, who do they think, what Democrat do they think best, there it is right there. Ocasio-Cortez leads poll of Democrats on which leader best reflects the party's core values. And there's been a lot of talk on social media as of late as to what their core values actually are. And it's a good question because, I mean, if you're thinking about like conservative values, it's like, what is it? Well, like, America first, family, security, the economy, tradition, right? We believe in the Constitution. We believe in, positive morality. We believe in, say, like, we believe in, if you want to base yourself in Christianity and the Ten Commandments and stuff, we have a foundation of tradition of Christian morality that we base our lives on, which is a good thing, right? Which is what our society was founded on. Now, that doesn't mean that the beautiful thing about America is that it was founded on this Christian morality, but you don't have to be a Christian. You just have to respect the foundation of morals and traditions that got us here and built our society, right? But if you want to go to your home, if you want to have your church over here, your church over there, you can worship whoever you want. You can do whatever you want so long as you're not stepping on the values and morals and traditions that built and support our society. And that's what we believe. But what do Democrats believe? It seems like they don't believe in anything. It seems like they're nihilists, and it seems like they want to tear all of that down. So I thought it would be interesting to go through this and see if we can find out what they actually believe. So let's take a look here. Let me check one more thing real quick. It seems like they don't believe in anything. Okay, we're good. So this is on the Hill. Now let's just jump right in. Ocasio-Cortez leads poll of Democrats on which leader best reflects the party's core values. This is March 17th. This is Sarah Fortinsky. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and I did read this yesterday on a different website, but let's just breeze through it real quick again. Narrowly leads in a poll of Democrats on which political leader best reflects the core values of the party. The core values of the Democrat Party. In a CNN survey released Sunday, Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents were asked to name one person when thinking about Democratic leaders today who best reflects the core values of the Democratic Party. The open-ended question yielded a range of responses. 10%, the highest, pointed to Ocasio-Cortez. 9% said former Vice President Kamala Harris. 8% said Bernie Sanders. And this is getting old, isn't it? And 6% said House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. He's black. Former President Obama and Representative Jasmine Crockett each were named by 4% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning independent respondents, while Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, New York, and California Governor Gavin Newsom, former Speaker Pelosi, and Senator Elisa Slotkin, I don't know what the fuck that is, were named by, I think I've heard of her maybe, yeah, okay. Were named by 2% of respondents, at least 15 other Democrats. Meanwhile, a plurality of respondents, 26%, said they have no opinion, while 5% gave no-name responses and 5% said no one, which is interesting and probably apropos. All other names accounted for a total of 5% of responses. The survey reflects the lack of clarity among Democrats over who should lead the party as Republicans control of the White House and both chambers of Congress. Ocasio-Cortez has, let's stop right there at that. Republicans control now the Congress and the Senate, a majority governorship, the executive branch, and technically the judicial branch with the majority of conservatives in the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court is fucked up. And the reason all of these Republicans got voted into office, the reason that 89% of all counties in the 2024 election shifted right, is because the Democrats have no values. And even if the people of America can't even quite put their finger on it, they know that. It's an empty feeling. It's a feeling of nihilism, and people don't want that. People don't want nihilism, okay? They want, even if they may not support or agree with your beliefs, they want to see that you have some kind of substance, something, right, that you believe in. And Democrats seem to believe in absolutely nothing. So let's go through the top answers here, the top results. So let's go to Ocasio-Cortez's. I got a few things pulled up here. We'll get to that. Let's go to Ocasio-Cortez's website. Okay, so here's her website thing. Hold on, I gotta change the sound on something real quick. Excuse me, sorry. What the fuck is this thing doing? Excuse me. Let's go to Ocasio-Cortez's website. Okay, so here's her official website. AOC, join our campaign, all that. Let's go to, let's see, about, okay, vote, endorsements, issues, reset, issues. Green New Deal. That's the only thing under issues. Let's scroll down and see. With working families struggling and our planet under threat, we can't just wait around for progressive change. It's time for us to act. Okay, Green New Deal, gas emissions. I see that. Here we go. Read more about Alexandria and what she is fighting for in Congress. But the only thing under issues is Green New Deal. Resources, fact checks, store, NY14. Let's click on this. Okay, so, here we go. Medicare for all, housing as a human right, a peace economy, justice for workers and small businesses, real public safety, honor in immigration, a just recovery for Puerto Rico, Green New Deal, elevate public education. I supports LGBT. These are not things that the American people, cared about in the 2024 election, right? Nobody's losing their Medicare, okay? People wanted a strong economy, a closed border, deportations, no World War III, and no men in women's sports and no men in women's locker rooms. Okay? Those are the things that won Republicans all of these elections. Where is that in here? Where is it? I mean, honor and immigration, what is this? Undocumented individuals fill so many of the essential jobs that kept this country running during COVID-19, and they're still all over this COVID-19 shit. This is one of the things that lost you the elections, right? People don't care about. These aren't the issues that people cared about, and this is the disconnect that shows between Democrats and the average American voter, the average American citizen. You have pushed so far to the progressive left that you have become completely disconnected with the things that are actually affecting the vast majority of people's lives. Right? I mean, when's the last time AOC has ever gone out in public and talked about any of these things? Every time you see her in public, what is she talking about? She's talking about, listen to her speak in Congress, okay?
Is it your testimony today that you personally witnessed President Joe Biden commit a crime?
This is just an example of how stupid she is.
I believe the fact that he was sitting with me while I was putting together a business deal.
Did you witness the president commit a crime? Is it your testimony today?
Yes.
And what crime Have you witnessed?
How much time do I have to go through it?
It is simple. You name the crime. Did you watch him steal something?
Corruption statutes, RICO and conspiracy.
What is it? What is the crime, sir?
He's fucking telling you.
Specifically.
You asked me to answer the question. I answered the question.
No.
RICO, you're obviously not familiar with. Corruption statutes.
Excuse me, sir. RICO is not a crime. It is a category. What is...
My God in heaven.
It's a category of crimes that you're then charged.
You have charges.
A long 100.
You have charges. Sir, please
name the exact statute under RICO?
Yes.
Well, it's funny. In this committee room, everyone's not here. There's over 8
All right, sir. I reclaim my
lawyers that went to law school.
And as soon as he starts getting into it, she shuts him down. Okay, this is the kind of person we're dealing with. I want to go back for this shit. Housing is a human right. Sorry, I'm still waking up. I did not sleep well last night. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Housing is a human right. The homeless industrial complex in this country is a fucking sham. She's protect current occupants, repair public housing, and build a new affordable housing. Okay, we pump billions and billions and billions of dollars into the homeless industrial complex every single year, and nothing ever gets fixed. And do you know why? Because it's an industrial complex, meaning, much like the military-industrial complex, we just keep pumping the billions into it, and they keep causing the problem, because if the problem went away, then all of these bureaucrats and administrative staff who are making six figures every year wouldn't have a job and wouldn't have benefits. And so if there's no problem, there's no need to have these people. So this is just the homeless industrial complex thing. This is just a sham. It's one more thing that we'll probably discover under Doge, that billions of dollars is just getting pumped into, and it's a complete scam. A peace economy, what the fuck does that mean? Stop investing in the business of wars, invest in peace and diplomacy. I don't totally disagree with that. Justice for workers and small business, rebuild the unions, invest in people instead of investing in mass and real public safety, the most vulnerable members of our society. Here's another thing. That just took me to something different. This is another thing. People want criminals punished. We don't want someone with 40 prior convictions out on the streets, someone with mental health issues out on the streets. This is why we need federally funded mental health institutions, so these people have somewhere to go and get treatment. That's interesting, don't you think? When was the last time that you heard a Democrat say we needed mental health institutions funded by the federal government? Because don't they want to help people? Don't they want to help people with mental health issues, with all sorts of health issues? Well, these people need treatment, and they need to be off the streets. Honor and immigration. Nobody believes you. Nobody's on your side about the immigration issue. This is a major, major disconnect in the values, the quote values, where you would rather see someone from Tren de Aragua treated with honor and respect more so than an American citizen. It's people like you and where's this douchebag? This activist judge. What's his fucking name? Judge James Boasberg. The Trump administration argues that U.S. District Judge James Boasberg overstepped his authority when he issued an order blocking the president from deporting roughly 250 alleged Tren de Aragua gang members under the Alien Enemies Act of 1789, a wartime law that gives the executive branch immense power to deport non-citizens without judicial hearings. And then they're sending it to the Supreme Court. So Democrats, the values of the Democrats, of people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and this activist judge, Judge Boasberg, they would rather be worried about the human rights of people who are involved in murder and rape and sex trafficking and drug trafficking and all sorts of other terrible, horrible, heinous shit. They're more worried about their human rights than they are the safety of the United States of America, which is treason, by the way. These people are traitors, which is another huge disconnect in the values between Democrats and the average American citizen. Okay. And again, let's go back to her website. The Green New Deal, which is the Green New Scam, as President Trump so aptly put it. A just recovery for Puerto Rico. What the fuck? I've never even heard her talk about that. Elevate public education. I don't disagree with elevating public education, and I'm very happy that Elon Musk, I'm very happy that they took down the Department of Education, because the Department of Education, ever since its inception in the 1970s, ever since we've had the Department of Education, our test scores, I think, went from 4th overall in Western developed nations all the way down to like 42nd. And I think something like 90% of all of the billions of dollars we gave to the Department of Education, something like 90% went towards administrative costs. So women's rights, again, and LGBTQIA rights, these are the major things that they stump on. There is nothing that women have, no restrictions on rights. What rights do I have that women don't have? I'll wait. What rights do I have that LGBTQIA plus people don't have? What rights? Again, this is the disconnect. You're pushing for stuff that just they stump on this stuff. They push this stuff because it elicits an emotional response, right? They don't have anything on the facts. They just, because the facts are, if you're talking about women's and LGBTQIA plus rights, if you're talking about those rights, we already have the same rights. And if you're going to come at me with the reproductive rights, women aren't asking, all of these progressive women aren't asking for reproductive rights because no one has restricted your right to reproduce. You want the right to kill a baby. Okay, no one's restricting your right to have sex and reproduce and actually have the child. That's the reproductive right. Okay, you want the right to kill the baby. That's a little example of cultural Marxism, by the way. Cultural Marxism is when they take the very foundation of your society and your reality and they upend it by doing things like literally changing the definition of words, or when you hear something like reproductive rights, reproductive, no one's restricting your freedom to reproduce, but then they attach rights so it elicits an emotional response. So you think, oh my God, someone's taking my liberties. No, they're not. And by the way, you have a right to get an abortion. It just depends on what state you're in. Okay? Oh, and by the way, I've kind of done a little bit of a 180 on the whole abortion thing in a way, because who are the people getting abortions? It's a bunch of progressive lunatics. So if you want to burn down your genetic line in your family tree, fucking knock yourself out. These are the major things that she stumps on, right? She's got a few other things peppered in here, but the only thing we hear let's listen to some more things that AOC wants to say. Let's see how smart she is on the issues.
Right to protest.
Well, yes, but
Hold on,
I also,
but I am, of course, the dynamic there in terms of geopolitics and the war in the Middle East is very different than people expressing their First Amendment right to protest.
Well, yes, but I also think that what people are starting to see, at least in the occupation of Palestine, is just an increasing crisis of humanitarian condition. And that to me is just where I tend to come from on this issue.
You use the term the occupation of Palestine. What did you mean by that?
I think what I meant is like the settlements that are increasing in some of these areas and places where Palestinians are experiencing difficulty in access to their housing and homes.
Do you think you can expand on that?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'd also I am not the expert on geopolitics.
No fucking shit. Let's go back here for a second.
I think what I meant is like the settlements that are increasing.
Now watch her face here, because this is the face, what you're about to see. This is the face of somebody. This is the face of somebody who is getting exhausted trying to think of an excuse or some kind of bullshit answer. Watch your face, or like eyes closed and roll back. Watch.
In some of these areas and places where Palestinians are exceriencing difficulty in access to
right there
their housing and homes.
Do you think you can expand on?
Her brain is getting tired trying to think of an answer. She's such a fucking retard. God damn it, dude. Oh my God.
Because he's got court, and the man practically has the legal version of an ankle bracelet around him, and he can't leave the 5 boroughs because he always has to be in court. And so it is truly an embarrassment to him, and I am looking forward to the response of everyday Bronxites talking about how they feel about him coming to their backyard.
Remember that? And then Trump went to the Bronx and he had like 25,000 people. It was like the largest political rally in the history of the Bronx. That's fantastic. Let's move on from who else did we have? Let's go back. Who else did we have pulled up here? So it was AOC. She's a retard. Oh, Kamala Harris. Oh my. Oh my. Gabala. Crazy Gabala. Here's Kamala Harris, the former DEI vice president. Let's see. So I've kind of breezed through this a little bit, and it pretty much just gives you a background on her and just tells you, like, oh, she's the first woman, the first person of color, blah, 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 blah. So barrier breaking time, district attorney, San Francisco. Oh, my God. Deliver for families, protect fundamental freedoms. Again, freedom of women, own bodies, safe from gun violence. Again, guns don't cause violence. Crazy progressive lunatics cause violence when they're going and firebombing Tesla dealerships and they're shooting up daycares and shit like that. The freedom to vote. You have the freedom to vote as an American citizen, and the freedom to drink clean water and breathe clean air. Well, I can agree with that one. You know what? As soon as President Trump says we're going to remove fluoride from the water, they're going to start buying they're going to start buying industrial fluoride and just snorting it. So, President Trump, for the love of God, please remove fluoride from the water. She took particular focus on job creation through investment in our nation's small business community banks. Okay, so again, there it is. Black woman, Ketanji Brown Jackson, blah, blah, blah. Okay, monumental achievements. Let's go to about... I'm not going to spend too much more time on any of this, but I just want to see what their values are, okay, what they support. We saw a few things from AOC, okay. Is there just a list of her values, of the things that she supports? Fighting for people is nothing new. Here's a picture of her when she was a kid and her Indian mother. Her Indian mother. There's her husband who, didn't he beat the nanny or have sex with the nanny or something like that? Allegedly. Again, Home About Connect, Office of Kamala Harris. I mean, it's just a bunch of gobbledygook about, her being a minority woman. Well, a minority in the West, not a minority on the planet, but a minority woman, and all the things she. Let's go to Bernie Sanders. Okay. Let's see, oligarchy tour, and we'll move on a little bit here, but we'll get to the good stuff. So join us in fighting the oligarchy tour. So Bernie Sanders is going around now, trying to get everyone on board with AOC. Remember this? This is the rally that they had that was supposedly the largest, and maybe it is. So they said it was 34,000 attendees in this Colorado event. This so-called grassroots event. They said 34,000, but it was closer to 20,000. And more revealing, a whopping 84% of those devices had shown up at 9 or more other protests, including Antifa and BLM events, pro-Hamas and pro-Palestinian demonstrations, and Kamala Harris campaign stops. Over 30% had attended 20 or more. So basically what this is saying, there was nothing grassroots about this. There was a bunch of protesters, professional protesters, a.k.a. jobless pieces of shit, who were getting paid probably by George Soros and maybe Klaus Schwab and whatever to, basically be professional protesters and just show up wherever they need them. So... And people aren't going to vote for AOC, okay, Bernie, so just stop. Where are we at? Oligarchy tour, meet Bernie. Organize, learn more, meet issues. There we go. Let's see. How does Bernie pay for his major plans? I don't get priorities for the next coronavirus relief package. So Bernie Sanders, one of his issues is planning for the next coronavirus. That's a little odd. And again, emergency response, Green New Deal. Green New Scam, Medicare for all. Boy, they're all over that. A welcoming and safe America for all. College, blah, blah, blah. Social Security, housing. So it looks like we've got a bit of a trend here for the so-called values. The coronavirus thing is new for Bernie. That wasn't on AOC's page, but they all support the Green New Scam. They all support the Medicare. No one's the individual payments for Medicare are not stopping. A welcoming and safe America for illegal aliens, so they support illegal aliens. They support universal everything, right? They support universal health care, universal education, universal this, universal that, housing. Again, we've talked about the homeless industrial complex. Wow, he's actually saying honoring our commitment to veterans. That's impressive. Justice and safety for all. Okay. Eliminating medical debt. Okay. Again, none of the issues that won Republicans the elections, right? Nothing to do with closing the border. Nothing to do with, and you see all the people that are actually supporting auditing the federal government. Nothing to do with that. Nothing with ending World War III. Nothing. When was the last time, by the way, you heard any politician other than President Trump, before President Trump, say we need to stop the war? If you really think about it, President Trump is the most peaceful president of my lifetime. He is the only president who has said we need to talk about peace and we need to go to the table so that we can stop people dying. You don't see that here. You don't see that on AOC's website. I didn't even see anything mentioned about Ukraine on any of this, so maybe they're pulling back from that a little bit. I don't know. Coronavirus thing. So again, the thing that won Republicans the election, it's the border, getting rid of illegal aliens, auditing the federal government, and fixing the economy for American citizens, stopping World War III, keeping men out of women's areas. Isn't that an interesting thing, too? That they say they're going to be champions for women's rights. AOC said that. She was going to be a champion for women's rights. But she's perfectly fine with men going into women's sports and beating the shit out of them. So, okay, we're seeing a trend here. What's next? Oh, Hakeem Jeffries. Here we go. Let's see. Lower costs. I mean, this is so stupid. Who doesn't want lower costs? And isn't that exactly what they're doing in the federal government by auditing it? Trying to lower our cost by cutting all of the bloat and the fat and the red tape and bureaucratic bullshit? Isn't that exactly what they're doing? I would say that it is. I mean, Donald Trump has spoke about potentially eliminating taxes for people, federal taxes for people making less than $150,000. When's the last time you heard any of these people talk about that? Because they are not connected with the American people. They do not share the values of the American people. Safer communities, again, who doesn't want safer communities? And a safer community, get illegal guns off our streets, then you should send if the ATF wants to get off of its ass and stop harassing law-abiding gun owners, go into the south side of Chicago, clean up the illegal guns there. Oh, you won't do that, will you? No. Better paying jobs, the housing thing, they all support the housing industrial complex. Here it is right here. Hakeem Jeffries, reproductive freedom. Again, no one is restricting your right to reproduce. People disagree with your right to kill a baby. Criminal justice, again, the Democrats are the people who support letting individuals with 40 prior convictions out on the streets. Okay, the Democrats are the reason that things like California, it's not a crime to actually, I think, didn't California, they made a new regulation, a law where retail theft under $950 was not a crime, but then they went back in and made a new law that said, yes, now it's a crime again. It's like, no, you already had the law on the books. You just had to repeal the dumb shit you already did. So it's the Democrats' fault that the crime is out of control in California because they're in control. It's the Democrats' fault that crime is out of control in Chicago. They're in control. It's the Democrats' fault that crime is out of control in New York City. They're in control. All of these Democrat-ran shitholes have the highest crime rates in the nation. And yet they sit here and they talk about criminal justice. They want to reform justice so it's more equitable. Again, they're disconnected from the values of the American people. So let's see. What else are their values? Let's see. Here's a good little from 2020. So Ayanna Pressley, there needs to be unrest in the streets. Now we're getting into the real values of the Democrat Party. Ayanna Pressley, there needs to be unrest in the streets. Kamala Harris, protesters should not let up. Maxine Waters, if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, you get out and you create a crowd and you push back on them. Nancy Pelosi, I just don't know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be. That's from 2020. These are the values of the Democrat Party. Okay, here's Tim Walz. Now, this is via this is from Liberal Hive Mind on YouTube. Go check it out. It's a very good channel. But I wanted to play this little snippet, and he will tell you his values right here, okay?
Face. I think pretty much everybody sees it, except for these leftist lunatics.
Issues like Social Security.
No one's taking away Social Security. Okay. Again, they're trying to get an emotional response for you. Okay. These are the things that he's trying to stump on. Social Security. No one's taking away Social Security. In fact, Doge auditing the federal government is to make sure that Social Security money is actually there. And in fact, Donald Trump and his cabinet, they have spoke about not taxing Social Security, which is insane bullshit if you think about it, taxing the money that you've already been taxed on and that is supposed to be saved for you, only to be sent back to you and taxed again. So you lost that one, Timmy.
Issues like rights for all LGBTQ.
What rights do I have that LGBTQ people don't have?
Issues like women's reproductive rights.
I'm not even going to keep going to the reproductive rights thing. I've said it a million times.
Like free breakfast and lunch in Minnesota, for example. Republicans here in Minnesota are coming after all those things, and in D.C., Social Security.
No, they're not.
Here's what we should recognize. All those things I just listed, if you poll them amongst the general public, all of them poll above 70%.
Right, and you are lying about every single one of them. And I just told you why. So there's Tim Walz. Let's see. Oh, here's more of the true values and the real who's really in the Democrat Party. This is the real Democrat Party. So here's Jasmine Crockett. She's a real peach. This is her making fun of a handicapped person.
Hot ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now.
So she's a representative from Houston, and she's referring to Governor Greg Abbott, who's in a wheelchair. He can't walk, calling him Governor Hot Wheels.
Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now.
Ladies and gentlemen, she belongs to the streets. Let's see. Oh, what's this? In the House of Representatives, U.S., whereas on March 22nd, 2025, the representative from Texas, Ms. Jasmine Crockett, spoke at a human rights campaign event in a manner unbecoming of a member of Congress. She is extremely unbecoming of a lot of things, calling the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, Governor Hot Wheels and a hot-ass mess. Blah, 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 blah. Resolve that Representative Jasmine Crockett be censured. 2. Representative Jasmine Crockett forthwith present herself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. And 3. Representative Jasmine Crockett be censured with the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker. Okay, so they're going after Jasmine Crockett now to... Oh, here's another example of Jasmine Crockett and the kind of people that represent the values of the Democrat Party.
This is not what we should be doing. I don't even know why we fighting with Greenland. Why we fighting with Greenland? We fighting with Canada. We fighting with Mexico. Yet we in love with Putin. What is happening? Like, this is not America. This is a terrible nightmare. Somebody slap me and wake me the fuck up, because I'm ready to get on with it.
I would have given anything for that dude to just reach back and pimp slap her. She asked for it. Let's listen to that again. Now remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is a sitting representative in the House of Congress.
This is not what we should be doing. I don't even know why we fighting with Greenland. Why we fighting with Greenland? We fighting with Canada. We fighting with Mexico. Yet we in love with Putin. What is happening? Like, this is not America. This is a terrible nightmare. Somebody slap me and wake me the fuck up, because I'm ready to get on with it. This is not...
That's enough. That's quite enough. Oh, I'm not going to listen to that one. I think we've heard that. And speaking of more values of the Democrat Party, if you didn't know, there's on March 29th, there is going to be a Tesla takedown day where basically nationwide Democrats are trying to get their supporters, air quotes supporters, to protest Tesla dealerships and Tesla everything all over the country because they are defending shit like this.
Cases of possible arson targeting Teslas and...
They're defending shit like this as protests, right?
Jim, they're taking to the streets or the parking lots.
Tonight, the FBI and ATF now investigating multiple cases.
This is what the Democrats consider protesting. This is what Democrats are defending, and this is what they want people to go out and do. They're not going to come out and say it, but we'll get back to it here.
Cases of possible arson targeting Teslas and Cybertrucks.
This dramatic video shows.
Do you hear the SEALs clapping? Do you listen to them? Listen to their response to domestic terrorism.
The parking lots.
Tonight, the FBI and ATF now investigating multiple cases of possible arson targeting Teslas and Cybertrucks.
This dramatic video shows multiple cars in flames. Police say the attacker used Molotov cocktails. It's the latest in more than a dozen instances of arson and vandalism targeting Tesla.
The same suspect shot more Teslas with a gun. Tesla Cybertrucks were set on fire in Kansas City, and earlier this month, shots fired at a Tesla dealership in Oregon. Cybertrucks on fire in Seattle.
Wow, you guys like petty acts of domestic terrorism, huh? Cool. Jim.
They do. They literally, and yes, it is literally terrorism. The definition of terrorism is when you use violence or the threat of violence to further your politics, your ideology. That's the literal definition of terrorism. That's literally what they're doing. This person, here's Robbie Starbuck. Robbie Starbuck's pretty great. And he hit the nail on the head here that their party now supports domestic terrorism. They do. Child sex changes. They do. Freeing criminals. Yes. Judicial coups. Yes. Waste and fraud. Open borders. Censorship. And war. That is a very concise list of the values of the Democrat Party. We went through all of those politicians' lists. We went through the list of every single one of those, the four politicians that Democrat voters said that they believe best represent the values of the Democratic Party, and not one of them, not a single one of them, referenced domestic terrorism, nor transing children or men being in women's locker rooms and sports. None of them spoke about, the only thing they talked about with freeing criminals was the criminal justice reform, which in their eyes means just setting criminals free. Judicial coups, that now that the Department of Justice is actually legally targeting them, now they fucking care. Waste and fraud, they are upset that the federal government is being audited. Open borders, I don't even need to say anything about that. Censorship, they don't want you to be able to tell the truth because they know that their bullshit can't stand up to the truth. And then war. Again, do I have to say anything? They've been supporting Ukraine now for years. This is their values. This is who they are. And here's even more values. We looked at this a little bit earlier. I kind of breezed by it. This activist, this Democrat judge, who I actually think, I believe this was the judge. Hold on a second. This Democrat judge who the White House flew 250 alleged Tren de Aragua gang members to El Salvador under the Alien Enemies Act of 1789, which is a wartime law that gives the executive branch immense power to deport non-citizens without judicial hearings. They took people who are terrorists, who have been labeled as terrorists by the executive branch, by the White House, because they act like terrorists. They destroy healthy societies. And this motherfucker, this cocksucker, this traitor, this Democrat activist posing as a judge, wanted to bring them back. Why? Why do you care more about, why do you value the rights of violent gang members and terrorists more than American citizens? What country are you in? What country are you from? I wonder if he's a dual citizen. But let me look. I want to check something real quick because I think this is the guy. Let's go to this. Actually, I brought this up. Hold on a second. Pound sand. No, where'd it go? God damn it. Here it is. So this is the guy what we're talking about, Judge Boasberg. New dirt on Judge Boasberg raises more questions. The district court judge who recently blocked Donald Trump's, let me start over. Fuck. The district court judge who recently blocked President Donald Trump's efforts to deport illegal alien gang members attended a suspiciously partisan legal conference just months before his ruling, according to a judicial ethics report. Judge James Boasberg, who serves on the D.C. District Court, participated in what appears to be nothing more than a Democrat strategy session masquerading as a legal conference in Sun Valley, Idaho. And speaking of Idaho, we got some really good news out of Idaho. The conference's agenda items, Judges in a Democracy and State of Democracy, sound eerily similar to the Democrats' tiresome 2024 campaign rhetoric about saving democracy, which, of course, has become the justification for their using the courts to obstruct Trump's agenda. Called a privately funded seminar disclosure report, the document discloses that Boasberg was in attendance but offers no details of whether Boasberg was paid for his attendance or travel or what the remuneration was. That's not spelled right. Remuneration was. Whatever the fuck. Why can I not say that right now? I'm so sorry. The entire arrangement reeks of the same swamp policies that President Trump has been fighting since day one. And I'm pretty sure, isn't this the guy? Yes. Oh, it's archived. I'm pretty sure this is the guy that gave Ray Epps Ray Epps, out of all the January 6 people that went to trial and went through all of the bullshit, Ray Epps, there's one person who got off scot-free. Ray Epps got off with probation and a slap on the wrist. I'm not going to go into the whole Ray Epps thing right now, but it was James Boasberg. It was Judge James Boasberg who helped him get that probation, that slap on the wrist. That's a whole nother fucking can of worms. This guy is an activist. He's not a judge. His values do not align with that of the American people. None of these people's values align with the American people. Everything they talk about is complete, utter Marxist bullshit. And nothing they say has any kind of substance whatsoever. They have all of this flowery language on their websites and everything, but they don't apply any of it when they go to Congress or the Senate or anything. No, the only thing they talk about is taking down Donald Trump and Elon Musk and bringing back illegal alien terrorists to the United States and continuing war in the Ukraine and transing children and putting men in women's spaces. And they don't address it on their website. They just want to give you the flowery language on their website. These people have no values, none whatsoever, that align with the American people at all. And yet they double down and they triple down. And they have no idea why they lose, because they are, and I said this yesterday, they are incapable of self-analysis. They are incapable of looking in the mirror and saying, maybe I'm wrong. And the reason that is because they are nihilists and they believe in nothing. They don't believe in God. They have no spirituality. Again, if you're not a Christian, don't believe in God, I'm not here to beat you over the head with the Bible. I'm not a Bible thumper. But you need to have some kind of spirituality because it aligns you, right? If you think there's nothing above you, if you think there's nothing more powerful than you in this universe, then you think that you're on top of everything, and you think that everyone owes you something, and because there's nothing above you, you must be the top, right? When you admit that there's something above you, it's like, it humbles you. Say, well, wait a minute. Maybe I'm not doing the right thing. Maybe I'm not doing what I was created to do, okay? They think that they were created to do whatever the fuck they want. They truly think they're revolutionaries. They truly think that they are going to go down in the history books as the people on the right side of history. And they care about nothing. They have no real morals or values. I mean, seriously, what Robbie Starbuck said it best. This is what they support. This is it. I don't know. If you have something different, if you have evidence of something else, please, for the love of God, put it in the comments or do something, right? Let me know. Let me know what you think. Let's move on. Let's move on. Okay, what's next? Sorry, I wanted to get that out of the way first. When we do the show, we're going to do politics first because politics is so depressing and pisses me off, but also makes me laugh at the same time. I don't want to end on a sour note. Let's move on to some entertainment news. Snow White. Let's check out how Snow White is. Oh my goodness. March 24th, 2025. So it was released on the 21st, March 21st. And thus far, worldwide has made $87,914,186 on a budget, I believe, of like $250 million. This is from That Park Place. Good website. Rachel Zegler proudly touts Snow White box office in tone-deaf victory lap on Instagram as film crashes and burns. Immediately disables comments. Oh my. If there's one thing we've learned during the long and chaotic lead-up to Disney's live-action Snow White, it's that Rachel Zegler has a remarkable talent for making things worse. And now, even as the dust settles from the film's shockingly weak box office debut, Rachel Zegler has reemerged, not with humility or grace, but with a self-congratulatory Instagram post declaring #1 movie in the world. And maybe that's true. Maybe it is the #1 box office film for this past weekend. Okay? But being the least stinky turd still makes you a turd. That's right. After Snow White face-planted into theaters with a dismal $42.2 million. Wow, they even readjusted that down because originally they said $45 million. The $42.2 million domestic opening and $85.3 million worldwide, Zegler posted a photo of her popping out of what appears to be her trailer, striking a pose, and proudly proclaimed herself Queen of the Weekend. Comments? Disabled, of course, because even she knows what the reaction would have been. This isn't just tone deaf, it's theatrical delusion. And there it is. $250 million. And now, we're speaking about tone deaf, right? Remember, this is Rachel Zegler. These are her comments. This is what Rachel Zegler said. Remember, I find myself speechless in the midst of this. Another 4 years of hatred. This is after Trump won the election. Leading us towards a world I do not want to live in. Leading us towards a world that will be hard to raise my daughter. She doesn't have a daughter. Leading us towards a world that will force her to have a baby she doesn't want. She could not have sex and not get pregnant. But the only reason you want, quote, reproductive rights is so you don't face consequences for your actions. So that you can go out in the world and be a whore. And not have consequences for being a whore. Good job. Oh my God. Leading us towards a world that is fearful. I shouldn't be this shocked, but I am. I am heartbroken for my friends who awoke fear this morning. And I am here with you to cry, to yell, to hug, to wax poetic on how the left continues to fail us in forging a new path forward. You are the left. So you've admitted to failing yourself? Good job. Fucking hell. This law should not have been. If it should not have been, it would not have been. But it should have been, so it was. And it certainly should not have been by so many votes. Again, delusion. You are disconnected. Your values are disconnected from that of the American people. I echo Ethel Kane's statement more than anything. May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. You know, it reminds me of when someone asked Michael Jordan, why don't you talk about politics? And he said, because Republicans buy sneakers too. Because Michael Jordan's not stupid. Oh, let's see. Well, what else did Rachel Zegler do? Remember, this is one more.
Folks, vote for Kamala Harris. And it's actually non-negotiable. Our rights are on the line, folks. Our reproductive rights. Come on.
Fuck.
Go vote blue. And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business. Thanks.
Well, people listened. because your movie hasn't even made $100 million yet, and it might not make $200 million. This may be the biggest flop of all time. And this is at that Park Place as well. They were trying to spin this, that the movie was failing because Republican counties, people in red counties, were not going to see the movie. So they were calling people racists and bigots and sexists because they didn't want to go see the movie, and they were blaming those people for the movie failing. And then Mahler, from the EFAP fame, he said yesterday on the Real BBC, Mahler said, well, wait a minute. If all of those people did buy tickets and did go see your movie and it was a smashing success, would you be cheering for racists and bigots and sexists? You're like, yay, all the racists like my movie? Do you think they'd be saying that? No, they wouldn't bring it up. They only bring it up when it fails because it's the only convenient argument that they have. And decisively, it is actually an inconvenient argument because it's a false argument. It's very fucking stupid. Oh, I just wanted to touch on that real quick. Jesus fucking Christ. They just can't get out of their own way, right? And what I said earlier, this is a perfect example. This is a perfect example of they can never admit they're wrong. They cannot look themselves in the mirror and say, I fucked up. I'm sorry. They just can't do it because they believe that they are at the top. They believe that everyone owes them something. They believe they're the most important thing on planet Earth and that they will go down in the history books as blah, 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 blah. Jesus fucking Christ. I said earlier that we had some good news about Idaho, and here it is. The Idaho House unanimously passes child sex abuse death penalty bill. This is fantastic news. As lawmakers anticipate a court challenge, Idaho Republican House legislative leader says U.S. Supreme Court was wrong. The Idaho House on Monday unanimously passed a bill to allow the death penalty for adults who sexually abuse children aged 12 and younger in Idaho. I can understand why they didn't go to like 18 and under, because in a situation where you have like a 17-year-old who might be like a senior in high school or like a junior in high school, and maybe their boyfriend or girlfriend is like 19, right? And then you start to get into, and that's like the only situation where I can see that it might get kind of, it's like we've got to take something else into consideration here. But 12 and younger, I mean, I would have done, why don't you do 16 and younger? 16 and younger would have been the best. This is a good start, I suppose. Similar to his bill that stalled last year, House Bill 380, co-sponsored by Representative Bruce Skaug, would allow the death penalty in a new criminal charge the bill creates, aggravated lewd conduct with children aged 12 and younger. Skaug's bill would also add mandatory minimum prison sentences for cases of aggravated lewd conduct with minors, which would only apply to the abuse of children aged 16 and below. Okay, that don't meet the bill's proposed criteria for death penalty eligibility. Unfortunately, Idaho has some of the widest or most lenient statutes of rape on a child in the nation, Skaug told House lawmakers. Let's see. The U.S. Supreme Court in 2008 blocked death penalties for child rape and Kennedy. Look, the U.S. Supreme Court in 2008 blocked death penalties for child rape in Kennedy versus Louisiana. Florida passed a child rape death penalty law 2 years ago. Good job, Florida. 5 other states are considering child rape death penalty bills, Skaug said. He said the death penalty would be rarely sought under this bill. Why? The whole point of passing the bill is if someone does it, they're gone. Remove them from society. They are a detriment to humanity. 9 people are on death row in Idaho, according to the Idaho Department of Correction. And bracing for a legal challenge to the bill, Skaug told lawmakers in committee he expects the U.S. Supreme Court would rule differently. Tells you a lot about the Supreme Court, doesn't it? You can say, well, that's unconstitutional, Bruce. Why would you bring that? Well, it was, according to a 5-4 decision in 2008. I don't think that would be the case today. Skog, an attorney, told lawmakers on the House Judiciary Rules and Administration Committee, you know what, tell the Supreme Court to shove it up their ass. Tell them to shove it up their ass. And then tell them, if they're going to go against it, then you need to call out the Supreme Court, and you need to say, Supreme Court, you need to go out in front of the public and you need to tell people why you hate children and you're okay with them being abused and you're okay with child rapists and pedophiles and sexual abusers, staying on the taxpayer dime, getting 3 hots and a cot. Why are you okay with that? And this goes back to people like this activist judge. I can't ever remember this guy's name. Boasberg. It goes back to people like him who, what are you doing? This is the deep state in action. This is the Bolsheviks in action. You don't have to necessarily change the law. You just have to change the interpretation of the law. Right? Get enough people in there who can skew it just a little bit this way, just a little bit that way, so that people like, pedophiles don't get the death penalty. It's like, well, we have to think of their human rights. No, we don't. No, we don't. You, as a child rapist, you gave that up when you took the life from that child. And even though maybe you didn't kill them physically, you killed their soul, you killed their heart, and you killed their mind. You made a conscious decision to ruin that individual's life before they even had a chance. You gave up your right to live and remain within our society. That was the deal that you decided to make. And people like these pieces of shit and the pieces of shit on the Supreme fucking Court, we got to consider the humanitarian thing about it. The humane thing would be to put them down. Go fuck yourselves. But good job, Idaho. Just tell the Supreme Court to shove it up their ass. Why wouldn't you? Just tell them to shove it up their ass. Okay, let's go on to a little bit different news. Oh, so what time is it? 6:34. We're going to have to wrap it up pretty quick, but we'll end on a few things here. This is from Zero Hedge again. Trump tackles election integrity with sweeping executive order will punish states that don't comply. On Tuesday, President Trump signed a sweeping executive order aimed at election security. The order will cut federal funding for states that refuse to take steps to secure their elections, tasks the Department of Homeland Security with ensuring that illegal immigrants are not voting, adds a citizenship question on the federal voting form for the first time. This is good. It also orders the Justice Department to vigorously pursue election crimes, particularly in states that are out of compliance with federal law on election security, and seeks to ensure compliance with National Election Day rules. The order also calls for the prosecution of foreign interference in U.S. elections, like paying a British spook to produce a fabricated hoax against a candidate, which nothing is ever done about. Even now, the order also calls for prosecution of foreign interference in U.S. elections, like from dual citizens? So dual citizens can't vote? Dual citizens should not be involved in any political matters in the United States whatsoever? At all? Let's do something about that. Here's a little snippet.
Lastly, sir, we have an executive order for your attention on the very important subject of election integrity. We believe that this executive order is the farthest reaching executive action taken in the history of the Republic to secure our elections. Among numerous other aspects of this executive order, this is going to cut down on illegal immigrants on the voter rolls, ensure that the Department of Homeland Security and the data that they have available is being fully weaponized to ensure that illegal immigrants aren't voting. This will include a citizenship question on the federal voting form for the first time. This executive order instructs the EAC to cut federal funding to states that don't take reasonable steps to secure their election. This calls on the Department of Justice to vigorously prosecute election crimes, particularly in states that we don't believe are in compliance with federal law around election integrity. I could go on and on for a while, sir, but the compliance with national election day rules, cracking down and investigating and prosecuting foreign interference in our elections, revoking President Biden's Executive Order 14019, which essentially weaponized government to corrupt and pollute our election process. There's a lot in here, but we believe that these are very important steps that we need to be taking as an administration at your direction to ensure that our elections are as secure as they possibly can be.
Okay. You all understand that? Yes?
Okay. All right. Any signs? Okay. Good. Good. That's good. Now, while that's good news from Trump, let me see. What else do I have here? I'm not going to get too deep into this. At least I don't think. So that was good news from Trump. But then look, full disclosure, I voted for President Trump because he was the best option in the election. If there had been a better option, I would have voted for that option. I don't like politicians, any of them. Trump isn't really a politician. He's a businessman. Okay, I'm not going to get too far down into that. But one of the things that I do not like, is what I'm getting at, is that Trump is trying to remove all of the people from Gaza and put them into places like Egypt. And right now, Egypt is doing something like building basically an open-air prison for all of these people. There's nothing that I can say in support of displacing people from their homes. If you're willing to take these people, if you're willing to push these people out, because the original thing was, we're going to, I don't know. It's such a fucking mess. If you're going to build homes for these people in Egypt, why don't you just build homes for these people in Gaza? Oh, is that because you can't stop Israel from shooting them? Or you refuse to do so? See, this is the biggest thing. I have no idea why President Trump continues to support Israel. Well, we have some ideas. We have some thoughts, don't we? And again, that's another can of worms we don't have time for right now. But this is one of the things I seriously disagree with President Trump. And we have no business being in the Middle East. We have no business being anywhere overseas when it comes to war or anything like this. It's just awful. It's just terrible. Like the thing he said when he had Benjamin Netanyahu in the White House, and he was like, "Yeah, we're going to get them out of Gaza, and we're going to turn it into basically like a new Riviera of the Middle East and everything like that." It's like, is that what the people of Gaza asked for? Like, if you're serious about getting the terrorists out of there, you can go in there with the military, get those people out, okay? Figure it out for the United States of America. Sweep through there, get them out, and then help rebuild it and put the Gazans back in their home, okay? And stop supporting Israel. Say, Israel, if you don't leave these people alone after we get rid of all of these terrorists, if you don't leave these people alone, we're going to cut off your funding. And we should cut off their funding anyway. Here's how I see the Middle East thing. I don't know how I got into this. There's bad people on this side. There's bad people on the other side. They don't care about the innocent citizens and civilians in between. And that's all I care about, is the innocent people dying. The pieces of shit on top on either side, they can go fuck themselves. I don't care if they're from left, right. I don't care if they're Jewish, Muslim. I don't care. Pieces of shit are pieces of shit, and innocent people are dying. Okay? That's how I fucking see it. I just saw this. And I just wanted to... When someone asks me... This is more values of the left. When someone asks me why I hate the left so much, I send them this pic, and it's two nurses in a hospital or maybe a retirement home or something like that. During COVID, it appears, and they have two signs taped up to this window. One says, "He is at peace." The other says, "We are so sorry." And one of the nurses is giving a little heart with their hands. People with morals don't do this. People with good values don't do this. These are Democrats. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to be it for the day. I will be back tomorrow, hopefully a little earlier, hopefully a little more organized. But I really, if for some reason you saw this, I really appreciate it. And if you like what you heard, hit the like, hit the subscribe, do whatever you got to do. But I will be here every morning between 5 and 5:30. I'm going to try to get more close to 5 a.m. Central Standard Time. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other.